Right now, the proposed Currency Exchange Rate Oversight Reform Act of 2011 is under discussion and debate within Congress, and little of it in the public sphere. The goal of this act would be to give power to the U.S. government to place countervailing duties on products imported from other countries if they can show that the country that they are being imported from are subsidizing their exports by undervaluing their currencies. Meaning, if the U.S. government merely thinks that they are keeping their currency low, they can use duties to increase the price of the goods being imported. The aim of the move is quite transparent. It is intended to inflate the cost of Chinese goods. The bourgeois economic theory is that if you increase the cost of foreign-made goods, consumers and businesses will be encouraged to purchase domestically. In turn, this would supposedly protect American jobs. Of course, such a tactic would be completely ineffective. No matter how high the import duties on these products would be, they would still be cheaper than the domestic-made products. It's also not a viable solution under capitalism because the bourgeoisie would bring down any politicians or government pushing through such a policy, harming their profits. Not to mention the fact that it would be impossible to reverse neoliberalism at this point. It's not economically possible. The bill has bipartisan backing. Members from both the Democrats and Republicans support it. It's a popular position. Blame China for the woes in America caused by its own capitalist class. The bourgeois move jobs out of the U.S. and send them to China because it's cheaper to produce there, but then turn around and have the government blame China for their own actions. It's a pretty typical move for a Western nation. However, this move is not supported by leading U.S. business groups at all. They don't want to pay any more for the goods that they are bringing in from China. The real reason why this bill is being put forth is for two reasons. One, it makes it appear as though the U.S. capitalist class is not responsible for the current lack of job availability. When it most certainly is. Place the heat on China and maybe the hostility towards the effects of capitalism will die down. And two, it helps propel the U.S. President Barack Obama for a re-election campaign in 2012. It's a nice populist position to distract from long-term unemployment, political volatility, and a lack of support for his re-election. Even the New York Times acknowledged the anti-China orientation in Obama's re-election bid with the article, "China Emerges as a Scapegoat in Campaign Ads." As the global economic situation stands, each nation is having to take measures to protect their economies from the second dip that they are all expecting. This is almost literally whining from the U.S. over China doing what it needs to do in order to survive. The hypocrisy is almost overwhelming. China is a villain for dealing with its currency to protect its economy, while the U.S. invades country after country, killing millions in order to protect its own. Exactly what kind of moral ground do they think it is they're standing on? Who are they to point fingers at a monetary policy while they kill millions to achieve the same goal? Besides, China has revalued its currency in the last few months anyway. In the past, surging food, fuel, and other commodity prices in China put greater pressure on China to allow a faster rise in the value of the RMB to contain inflation. At the same time, China's central bank has continued its drive to appreciate the yuan to fight imported inflation. Even the current pace of appreciation means that China's trade surplus could diminish within half a decade, as inflation is likely to continue to push up the RMB in real effective exchange rate terms. The real threat here is the growing possibility of a trade war that could very likely break out into a physical war. This is not beyond the scope of possibility. These were similar circumstances that led to both world wars. As China and the US began jockeying for survival and top spot in the world, they will begin to harm each other's economic interests, and in the process of just basic capitalist competition. As these economic measures taken against each other escalate, there will be battles over access to resources in other countries via proxy wars. If situations escalate, they could turn into outright physical war against each other. Once again, we are being shown the self-defeating nature of capitalism. As two sides in competition seek to control and dominate the global market and its resources, they sink closer and closer towards the total annihilation of those resources. The mad drive for profit and the greed-driven nature of it will do nothing but harm everyone for the profit of a few. This can and must change, if not just to have a better world, but to ensure the survival of the human race and the planet itself.